Hello and welcome. My name is George and this is the one. Well, in this video I want to talk about some frustrations I'm experiencing this morning and also in general when it comes to flying my drone and advancing my craft. See, I'm still trying to get into the drone business, actually, as an artist, creating drone footage that people can download, creating custom drone footage. And on a positive note, I just recently got my first paid drone shot. Was it the first one? Well, it was the first one that was actually where I was hired to take footage of a farm and got paid for it. So this was my positive experience, and these things keep me motivated to keep going. Now, I create a lot of stock footage that I upload to Pond 5, exclusive deal. I got over 1,300 clips on there now, and yeah, so far that's been a total flop. I mean, I haven't sold any. I believe my drone footage is good enough, but it's really hard on there to get the word out. It's really hard. You have to do all the tagging yourself, and well, it seems like there's so much time involved in doing all this that it doesn't seem worth it. But I keep telling myself that it's only a matter of time and this will catch up. Now, this morning I got up at 6 o'clock in the morning, which is way before sunset. I was going to go down to the river valley, get some beautiful shots of the city buildings reflecting the sunlight and stuff like that. So that's kind of what I enjoy the most in the city of Edmonton. It's always tricky here because there's a bylaw, and most recently the Drone Pilot Canada app has included these bylaws into their system, and now every time I want to record my flight it reminds me of this. So in the river valley it should be okay. There's a wasp, look at that. Yeah, in the river valley it should be okay. I mean, at least as long as it's on the river bank. Go away, you wasp, you. Like, what the hell, you know? Who invited you? But in the parks you're not okay. Like in the river itself, or like on the edge of the bank, you're technically on federal property and the city doesn't have jurisdiction. In the parks they do, and they cannot prohibit you from flying there. The only thing they could prohibit you from is from launching and controlling your drone. And that is so frustrating because, you know, if I go across the street on somebody's front lawn and I go, hey, do you mind? I'm perfectly fine. But oftentimes you don't get the chance to ask somebody for permission. So that is my beef with the city of Edmonton, where I pay taxes, and it makes me mad as hell when I can't do that. I can't practice my craft. So I've written a letter to city council, to my councillor. She passed it on to somebody else who was in like some kind of filming and events department. And I got a response back saying, well, basically explaining the bylaw that I'm already aware of. So I wrote a letter this morning to the same person. Well, I'm hoping that this is gonna clarify my perspective. I'm sure you're interested in what I wrote, so here it is.
Thank you for responding to my inquiry. I'm well aware of Edmonton's bylaw regarding drone use, and that's exactly why I have contacted my city councillor. As a semi-professional drone pilot, trying to build a portfolio of marketable drone video clips, I'd like to share my perspective with you. The city bylaw is making things unnecessarily difficult for myself and others who are trying to get into the drone business, which requires constantly practicing and honing skills. Almost 2 years ago, I basically had my primary business destroyed when my service truck was stolen. I used to do home repairs and small renovations, which I still do as much as possible without a proper service vehicle and a much reduced set of tools. None of it was insured, so I'm replacing it out of pocket bit by bit. At that time I decided to change careers and market myself as a drone operator, creating video and photos. I obtained the advanced Canadian drone license and a new drone with an excellent camera. Unfortunately, I have earned very little with my drone since then, and continue to struggle as a small contractor with inferior equipment. I have been able to create a portfolio of quality drone clips though, which often required more time for planning and seeking permissions than the actual work. As a tax-paying citizen and Edmonton resident, I find it ridiculous that I cannot operate my drone from city property without a permission from some city officials, who may have very limited knowledge about how drones operate. At the same time, I see loose dogs running around in city parks, people throwing objects, like balls and frisbees and all kinds of other activities that are way more risky to bystanders than a guy with a remote control, directing an object weighing less than 2 pounds that is a safe distance away from any of such bystanders. It just makes no sense. From your perspective, I certainly fall into the category of recreational drone operator, as most of my shoots are for stock footage sites, not paying customers. However, to me this represents an important opportunity to create a source of income as I move toward retirement from the home repair business. I'm going to be 62 next month. I know very well how to operate my drone safely, which includes pre-flight planning, checklists and emergency procedures. All of this is useless in Edmonton because the emphasis always seems to be on picking spots where I can get away with launching my drone without getting in trouble. Quite frankly, I'm tired of it. Our taxes have nothing but gone up, but there are so many shortcomings in this city. After my truck disappeared, it was a horrible experience dealing with the Edmonton Police Service. Took an entire day just to report the crime. Now I have to worry about officers harassing me while I try to create some drone footage. Please help me change this bylaw. The Drone Pilot Association of Canada, which I'm a member of, is soon coming out with a video advocating for the same thing. I will forward this to you as soon as it comes out. Best regards.
So now DPAC, the Drone Pilot Association of Canada, is actively getting involved in trying to change these bylaws, and I applaud them for that. And like, I am committed now to do my part here in Edmonton to try and accomplish this. It would be a huge step forward for anyone who wants to get into drones, who's taking this seriously. I mean, once you go through the licensing process, especially regarding the advanced license, where it's not just an online test. It's an online test about 8 knowledge areas where you actually have to study aviation, you have to study meteorology, you have to study human factors, you name it. I mean, there's so much involved. And these city officials, I bet you most of them don't have half a clue how to operate a drone, how they work, what it is actually all about. But these are the people you have to ask for permission, and they don't grant permission unless you are a business and you're pursuing a business venture there or something. So you kind of, if you want to get any flight in Edmonton done, first of all you have to buy insurance for that, which is not cheap. Liability insurance, they got to be $2 million insured, and the city has to be listed on the beneficiaries. That goes into like the $500 range if you're going to take this for a year. Nobody who's going to, I mean, I won't say nobody. There are some people who are just wealthy enough to do this. Frankly, I'm not. And I don't get enough work to justify this expense, first of all. So this totally excludes me from getting any type of permission here to fly in this city. Now, the other thing is I can launch from private property, but the only private property I own in the city is my own backyard. There isn't all that much you can do from my backyard, believe me. I have some friends where they expressly allowed me, yes, you can come here, you can launch your drone, but again, you know, it's just somebody's backyard. It is not near all these interesting things that Edmonton has to offer, where, you know, you could really create some nice footage of something that you could be proud of, that perhaps at some point somebody might want. So yeah, then there's commercial private properties where I can go and ask the owner of the restaurant or whatever, you know, and oftentimes they say, yeah, it's fine, just don't damage anything. Other times, well, I don't know. I can't get a hold of them, or I don't even know who they would be. Often there are some vacant lands or something. I don't really know who owns it, or it's a parking lot after hours. You know, it's not just one particular store that owns it, but there's a chain there. But I'm going on a Sunday morning, 6 or 7 o'clock, there's nobody there. So what I've been doing, keep that between us here. I go there, set up my cones, my landing pad, go launch the drone. This is what I was going to do this morning. I got there and I was hopeful and everything, and then something else happened that never happened to me before. I think I have to reinstall my DJI Fly app because the controller just wouldn't connect to it on my phone. Even though it was all plugged in, it was all ready to go. I had already launched on my Drone Pilot Canada app that I was starting the flight, and then as I'm trying to connect to the drone, well, nothing. So that's why I'm a little bit frustrated this morning. I hope that's gonna pass. Of course it will. I have to go home and troubleshoot this. It's a beautiful day. I might still head out later on somewhere, perhaps to the river valley or something, create something, because, you know, I want to make it a point to fly my drone regardless of what's going on once a week, as long as weather permits, just to keep up with the practice. It's very important to keep that up, because ultimately you need to develop your skills in order to actually get better, to actually create the kind of stuff that you can market. So I think we're all in the same boat. We're fighting for our right to practice our hobby, our craft. And I hope things are going to get better, because Transport Canada might get more restrictive over time too, but at least they're talking. The city, well, I think there's some review underway regarding bylaw, but there's so much misinformation about drones out there, and we have to work against that. We have to inform people that it's not the drone spying on them, that it's not the drone is going to fly around their ears and harass them. No, the camera is pointed on a point of interest. So I leave you with that. I leave you with these thoughts. I think we all have to stick together, do our part toward ensuring that we can still do this in a few years from now, as technology advances and the drones will get even better than they are today and stuff. And it would be a shame if the government and the city government and the municipality steps in there and gets us to shut this down. I mean, I almost feel at this point where I'm getting tired of always having to worry about where I can get away with it. So I'll leave you with that, and I'll see you in the next video. And yeah, I know I haven't been uploading regularly, but that's due to some other stuff. I'll talk to you soon.